Hello, I'm Assam Malik and I'm here with my colleague Tony Price and we're joined by Vicky Braden from Sage. We'll be discussing the General Data Protection Regulation, also known as the GDPR, which comes into effect on the 25th of May. There's been a lot of coverage around the GDPR and today we'll clarify what it is, who it applies to and how best to prepare for this. So to start off, Vicky, I understand that Sage has been conducting some research to gauge where their customers are with GDPR.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. What we found is about 2/3 of small and medium businesses out there aren't that aware of what GDPR means for them. About 1/3 don't feel like they have the resources in place to actually get GDPR compliance. So what we're seeing is that, generally speaking, there's probably a bit of an underestimation as to the level of support businesses are going to need to get themselves ready for May next year. I mean, does that tally with what you guys are seeing?
Yeah.
So our research results are entirely consistent. So in our experience, 90% of UK businesses can't articulate how they're going to comply with GDPR. You know, when you start to look at this is the biggest change in how personal data will be handled pretty much ever. And when you add to that, all organisations are going to have a data breach of some shape or form in the future, and immediately all of this will go right under the microscope. So, you know, our experience for research is that UK businesses just aren't ready.
Now, the reality on the ground can be very different from the research. What are we actually seeing where the customers are right now with GDPR?
Again, it's a similar story. So a lot of them are not really aware of GDPR and what it means for them. A lot of them can't really afford legal advice, especially the smaller businesses. So they're oftentimes quite reliant on their sort of annual audit process to get the information that they need, and that can put them behind the curve. We are seeing some pockets of knowledge, particularly if people are parts of trade associations or Chamber of Commerce. But generally speaking, it's not where it needs to be. I mean, what would you guys say?
So I have many small and medium-sized businesses as clients, and to be quite honest, guys, GDPR is not high on the agenda, right? So they're running their business. There's a lot going on with Brexit coming up. We've got open data standards, making tax digital, etc. Okay. So look, to make it real from the conversations we're having, really focuses on one part of their business, which is how they're using spreadsheets. Okay. So they've got customer data, employee data on spreadsheets, on hard drives, all over the place in their business. And coming up to GDPR, that's just not going to be good enough. Okay. So we're having conversations about getting proper CRM systems, proper HR systems, and really using the accounting system properly.
Absolutely. And Vicky, what would you say to your customers in terms of the best way to take GDPR forward?
I think you can't underestimate the importance of educating yourself and your colleagues about what it's going to mean for you and your business. I think if you can afford it, get some legal advice. Start thinking about where your data is in terms of your own data for colleagues, but also customer data, and start to get some of your senior managers responsible for data protection in your organisation. I think that's also really critical.
And Tony, what advice would you give to businesses on taking forward GDPR?
So there's no reason why you can't go out and start to look at the data you hold, the business model, how you engage with data today.
Absolutely.
Okay? There's some great sources of advice out there. So Sage have a microsite on GDPR. It's a very rich source of information for small and medium-sized businesses. And PwC are bringing out a free online self-assessment tool to help businesses understand the impact of GDPR on their business and what they can do about it.
Excellent. So thank you very much for joining PwC and Sage today and discussing the GDPR. I hope you found this useful. For further information on any of the topics discussed today, please don't hesitate to get in touch. And thank you very much, Vicky, and thank you very much, Tony.
Thanks, Asal.